Woody Page, Emily Kaplan, Kevin O'Kevin, Blackstone and Clark making my job hard for me today. Sorting through the wreckage of Cowboys Giants. And Oakland's goodbye to the Athletics. And a biggie in college. But does Alabama, Georgia mean as much as it used to now that it's a 12-team playoff? Let's go around the horn. There was a sense of need for the Dallas Cowboys last night. Yesterday's panel called it a must-win, a must-dominate. My question is, did they? Did they deliver last night in 2015 win over the Giants? The injury to Micah Parsons was when his leg rolled up on him. MRI today confirmed high ankle sprain. No timeline announced, but usually that's a month-long thing. DeMarcus Lawrence also expected to miss several weeks with a foot injury. So there's that for Dallas. For the Giants side, Malik Neighbors in concussion protocol, considering how much he means to them usage-wise. And the whole game, flagtastic through it all. Kevin Clark around the horn to you. Main takeaway from last night.
That the gap between these two teams is not that big, and that's really, really bad news for the Dallas Cowboys. First of all, headline here is the injury, obviously, to Parsons and to Lawrence. The Cowboys do not have a lot of depth. They are extremely top-heavy. If they're without these two guys for a month, even if that's 2 games before the 49ers game a month from today, that's still significant. I saw on offense a disjointed team that made everything look difficult. 5.4 air yards per attempt from Dak Prescott, his lowest mark in over a year. Only 2 passes over 15 yards in the air. One of those is a 55-yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. This is a team that doesn't trust its offense right now. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the problem is, whether that's Mike McCarthy, whether that's, the Giants had the lowest pressure rate of any team in the NFL this year, last year. So I just don't know what this is right now, but the gap has got to widen this season.
Kevin Blackstone, number one takeaway from last night.
The injuries to Micah Parsons and to DeMarcus Lawrence. These are the 2 guys who you could count on. Remember, they signed up Micah Parsons again this summer before they did CD and before they did Dak. That's how important he is to this team. And when you talk about the fact that scoring is down not only with the Cowboys, but around the league, and they were able to eke this one out maybe because of their defense, then that really puts them in a more perilous position than they were even coming into this game. So for me, it's those 2 injuries. The injuries that the Giants suffered to Neighbors. Giants aren't going anywhere anyway, but we always think that the Cowboys, for whatever reasons, are going somewhere.
Emily Kaplan, number one takeaway from last night?
Yeah, so the Giants aren't going anywhere, but I think we need to talk about them. And to me, the biggest takeaway was this game was a microcosm of why it's not going to work out for Daniel Jones and New York. Because he started to look good the last 2 games. He's completed more than 70% of his passes. This one, he's got some long drives, just can't get in the end zone. This season, he has attempted passes of more than 20 yards 15 times. Do you know how many he's connected on? 3 of them. And I just feel like he's troubled because he began as a gunslinger and then they told him, okay, you've got to be more conservative, don't make mistakes. I know he's gone through different coaching. He has no run game right now. But if you can't win a game like this, where it's right there for the taking, they're going to have to move on from him after this year.
And Woody Page, you have a number one takeaway from last night, Giants or Cowboys? Please.
Well, it's the Cowboys and the defense, but the guys didn't bring up, I thought, an important statistic that's happened over the last 3 games. The Cowboys have only kept teams to 19 incompletions during that period of time. So that says something about when you got a rookie cornerback and you got a defense that is up front is really good, but it's going to miss 2 guys, at least for 1 game, and they're lucky they got a bye upcoming before they play the 49ers. But when your defense in the cornerbacks and the safeties is not any good against the pass, that's going to create problems for the Cowboys all night and all the rest of the season. And watching that last night, Daniel Jones completing 73% against that.
None of it was downfield, as Emily just gave you. And that is kind of the story of the NFL season this year in some ways. Kevin, you alluded to Dallas foregoing chunk plays, it seemed like, yesterday. And Kevin Clark, I saw you wanted to get back on something Kevin Blackstone said. Please.
Yeah, one small correction, KB. Parsons is unsigned. And now we get into the best thing in sports. The Cowboys figuring out how to navigate contract trauma. Because if Parsons misses a month now, maybe that complicates things a little bit. Jerry Jones never handles his business correctly. That's something to watch now.
Thank you for your thoughts on that. We've been horned. We'll move on to the biggest game in college this weekend. Let me hear, national panel. College. Number 2, Georgia. At number 4, Alabama. Huge game. A potentially large game. Though there's some thought maybe it doesn't mean as much this year as it has every other year because of the 12 playoff spots. I'd like your thoughts on that in a second. But first, Emily Kaplan, who's the better team right now? How will this game be won?
So I tend to value defense, and the fact that Georgia has not allowed a single touchdown this season tells me that they're the better team right now. And they're just so good at limiting those explosive plays. That's how this game is going to be won. Can they get the explosive plays? They've only allowed one pass of 20 yards or more all season. Meanwhile, you look at Alabama between Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams, their stud 17-year-old. They're so good at explosive plays. So many touchdowns. I think it's 13 for 20 yards or more. So if Georgia can limit it, they win the game. If Alabama gets it going and opens the floodgates, they win it.
Didn't make a pick in that answer. I'll get back to you on that. Kevin Blackistone, what's the one thing that decides this game?
Oh, it's going to be the experience on the side of Georgia, all the streak that they have going, SEC regular season game victories, and just the fact that they're going to be staring a new coach on the Alabama sidelines right in the eyes. The best athlete on the field may be Jalen Milroe, but with Beck and Etienne on the other side, I think they've got a better team. And so this is really going to be a game that I think Georgia wins, despite the fact that I bet you more of the pressure is going to be on the other side of the field.
Okay, I want to talk about that too. You mentioned this great long regular season winning streak in conference Georgia has. Right. Of course, you do know the last time we saw these two teams play, who won the game?
It was for all. Yes,
Alabama. So that's maybe
yes,
something to combat your answer. Kevin Clark, I turn to you now on the number one thing you think decides this game. How will it be won?
It's explosive defense. Emily mentioned how good Alabama is at those chunk plays. Well, Georgia is the second best in the country at stopping those chunk plays. Georgia has gone 16 straight quarters without allowing a touchdown. By 24/7 talent composite, these are the two most talented rosters in the country by a wide margin. It is 1 and 2 and then a huge gap. The difference, though, is coaching. Kirby Smart is the best active coach on the planet. I'm going with his defense.
Okay,
let's go.
So you're going with the defense and with the coaching. Woody Page, how about you?
Let me go back to Kevin, number 1, when he talked about Milroe being the best player on the field. In the bowl game, though, however, when you put pressure on him, you want to talk about pressure, as Michigan did, he actually had serious problems. So Georgia's going to be able to put that pressure. And I heard that Alabama, by Kevin, number 2, is one of the great offensive teams of this season. Let's look at this. Their offense is so young, it doesn't have the je ne sais quoi. It doesn't have the experience that I think you can go up against Georgia, and people go, well, Georgia's lost 8 out of 9 games to Alabama. Well, guess who's missing from Alabama? The coach of all of those.
So you're putting a lot
games.
of stock in DeBoer in his first game in this rivalry as well, and that Smart has an advantage there. On the idea the game means something different in a 12 playoff world, right? 12-team playoff world. Which team has the most pressure Saturday, Kevin? You alluded to it.
Well, I think it's Alabama.
Kevin, number 1, of course. I mean, that's where we are in the world, yes.
I think it's Alabama. Look, DeBoer doesn't want to get off to a start like Harbaugh did, going up against their big rival, Ohio State. He certainly doesn't want to be thought of like Ryan Day was and going up against Michigan. So he's got to get off to a great start. And I think the pressure's on him to make people think that he is the absolute correct hire for that team. And so that's why I would say the most pressure's on him. And he's at home. He's going to have 100,000 pairs of eyes staring at him that are dressed out in crimson. So that's what the
200,000 eyes then in total. Maybe, I mean, yeah. Kevin Clark, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's DeBoer. The expectation in Alabama is national championship every single year. There's a lot of talent there. As I said, 17 5-stars on this roster. You better win with that. So even though Kirby Smart has those rings, obviously there's a standard there. DeBoer's got to earn that tenure in Alabama needs to start with a win like this.
What do you want to make a vote here, or the idea that this game means not as much as it used to because of the playoff?
Yes, it's not the same. I think that you're going to see a number of teams with 2 losses, and that's the only chance Georgia's going to have. If you look at the schedule that they have to wade through the rest of the season, that is an incredible schedule for even for an SEC team. So I think that the pressure's on Georgia, but I also believe that when you've got a 12-team playoff, we could look at SEC teams that are 5 or 6 vying for those spots because if you look at the standings right now, 6 of the top 7 teams are from the SEC in the rankings? Wow.
Yeah, Woody, number one, and will always be number one in our hearts. Makes a very good point there. We live in a world where you can lose to Northern Illinois, who loses to Buffalo, and still be alive in the college football race, right? Like, one loss doesn't quite matter. Alabama will have 4 more games against ranked opponents. The big thing for them is they don't lose at home. They've only lost twice there in, like, the last, since 2016, once to Joe Burrows, once last year to Texas. So to keep that streak alive, the pressure's on Alabama.
It just means more in the SEC, but maybe not as much as it used to mean because of the blah, 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 blah. Let's make a pick for the game. Kevin Clark, please, your pick.
Georgia 24-20.
Kevin Blackistone.
35-20, Georgia.
Emily Kaplan.
I'll go Bama, 24-11. 11-21.
Woody Page.
11.
2019,
Sure.
Georgia.
Irish still next.
Around the Horn is brought. Welcome back to Around the Horn, brought to you by Chase. Coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17.
Undefeated remaining week 4 of the NFL. Seahawks is the Monday night game versus Detroit. Pittsburgh at Colts. KC at Chargers with a hobbled Justin Herbert. We're going to drill down on the remaining 2 undefeated. Buffalo and Minnesota. Buy or sell one is the Bills at Baltimore. Sunday night is the game. Buffalo is the underdog. I thought that was surprising. They've been a wrecking ball through 3 weeks. Baltimore struggled a little bit. Woody, buy or sell? Bills the underdog. Ravens the favorite Sunday night.
My guy in Vegas got this totally wrong. You've got the guy with the highest quarterback rating since ESPN started that in 2006
For 3 weeks, yeah.
against a team that's given up 875 passing yards in the first 3 games. Give me a break. And you got the Buffalo Bills who are showing defense this year, and in their history with Lamar Jackson, they've held him to 4.7 yards per carry. A guy that runs all the time, and he's never had a rushing touchdown against the Bills. My goodness, this game is all about the Bills.
Sounds like you get the Bills. Emily Kaplan, how about you?
Woody, number one, always cooks. I think I understand the respect for Baltimore. They are 20-3 in primetime games under Harbaugh. Like, maybe this is just past history. But again, I don't think we've adjusted to how good these Bills are. We always thought they were going to be in Cap Hill this year, and that their defense wasn't going to cook. They wouldn't have enough weapons. Well, they've answered all those questions. They've got a ton of pressure, and Josh Allen looks like the best quarterback in the league right now.
Kevin Blackstone?
Yeah, I like the Bills too. I mean, I read Aaron Schatz's newsletter, and that DVOA stat that he has them not only as the best team going into this particular game, but as the best team in the NFL. I believe in that, so I like the Bills.
Good use of stats. Although, maybe I should be giving Aaron Schatz those points and not Kevin
right.
Blackstone.
I was waiting for that.
Not on the show.
Kevin Clark, please.
I love this Bills team. Sean McDermott is one of the best defensive minds in football, and the job he does on Lamar Jackson every time they play is significant. No rushing touchdowns in their meetings. That's obviously significant. The number here, 363 yards given up in the air in the 4th quarter by the Baltimore Ravens this season. That's the reason they keep blowing these leads. The Buffalo Bills are really, really, really good at situational football late in the games. Josh Allen knows exactly what to do to win games. I love this Bills team.
Kevin, great stuff there on Bills defense against Lamar rushing. But I liked it better the first time I heard it when Woody Page said it. There we go. Buy or sell 2, Minnesota, okay? We have a Lambeau Leap conundrum in this game, possibly. Aaron Jones is returning to Green Bay. He loved his time there. He said he loved leaping. He may be doing it as a Viking. How do you think Packers fans respond to a Viking leaping? I watch for that. But also in this game, the big news here at Green Bay, there are some expectations Jordan Love will play. Kevin Clark, buy or sell, Love's return for this matchup, and who are you buying in the game?
This is the wrong team for Jordan Love to return against. I have to get the stat out before Woody takes it. First 3 games, 5 sacks and 2 takeaways for the Vikings defense. That hasn't been done in every game in the first 3 weeks since 1970. That is the kind of defense Brian Flores has built. 41% blitz rate. He is in quarterback space all the time. Jordan Love's going to be hobbled. He's really good at setting protections, but it won't matter here. Give me the Vikings.
So you wouldn't even play Love in this game, though. It sounds like Kevin Clark, right? You would.
If he's healthy, I would get him out there. But if he can't move, I would roll with Malik Willis for 1 more week.
Woody Page, how about you?
Kevin Clark, what are you thinking about, Willis? Willis threw the ball 14 times and only down the field 1 time, and you don't want Jordan Love to come back, your starting quarterback? That's going to make the difference in the game, that he's going to throw the football, not just run the football against a great defensive team against the run. I think this is the Packers' perfect spot, playing at home with Love back in the
You've got Green Bay in this game. Emily Kaplan, how about you?
Oh, yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of love for Love and the Vikings defense, but how about the Packers defense? 7 interceptions their first 3 games, 7 interceptions all of last season, and I think that they could have some success against Sam Darnold, who's only thrown 2 passes while trailing this year. I think that has been some of the key to success. It's a lot easier to throw when you're leading.
So you've got Green Bay in this game, it sounds like, too. The Minnesota bubble bursting just a little bit. Kevin Blackistone, how about you?
We beat up Sam Darnold his entire career. He gets off to a fantastic start this year, leading the league in touchdowns with 8. Let's give him some love. I like the Vikings in this game.
Buy or sell 3. Chicago Sky firing Teresa Weatherspoon after 1 season. This seemingly came out of nowhere as evidence of the reporters who covered the team and players like Angel Reese tweeting out shock and heartbreak in a team statement today. They say they're moving on in the best interest of the organization, but they have appreciation for Teaspoon's contributions. Emily, how do you handle all this? You're in Chicago.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know. I don't think anyone here knows. I do know that it seems that she has supported her players. She got the most out of them, and that this team is now looking for its 4th head coach in the last 2 years. So that typically tells me more about the organization than the person.
But you think there's something more to the story? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I think there's got to be. There's no other way to explain it.
Stone?
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, they lost their 2 rookie stars under the basket right when they were kind of sniffing at the playoffs, and they don't make it, and now you fire the head coach. Makes no sense.
Doesn't make sense. Kevin Clark?
Yeah, if you fire somebody and immediately become the best person on the open market for a coaching job, you normally made a mistake. So if this is just for basketball reasons, this is inexplicable. It's a young team. You're in a rebuild. You cannot give up after 1 year on a coaching.
Woody Page?
Although they finished 13-27 and missed the playoffs for the first time since 2018, they only had their full complement of players for 2 games all year. You don't get rid of the coach without giving her a chance to actually work with a full lineup, and she didn't have that opportunity this year. I totally oppose.
And then hearing Angel Reese say she's heartbroken. I mean, so clearly she wasn't. They didn't ask the players, of course. They don't typically do that. What they thought, but that's just a stunner. Blackstone, Clark. No more Kevin O'Kevin. Woody Page, Emily Kaplan. Showdown next.
I should go on Family Feud with
Woody Page, Emily Kaplan. Good luck in Showdown. I need more picks on this all-time great series, Aces at Liberty, which starts Sunday, because earlier in the week I had a sweep in the national panel. Everybody would rather be the 2-time defending champs going into this matchup versus the number 1 seed. I think that's a great question here. Let's see if it holds up here. Everybody want to be the Aces, or you want to be the Liberty? Emily, who has the edge this series?
Nah, I'd much rather be the team that's motivated by revenge. And you saw with the Liberty this year, right? Like, they were 3-0 in the regular season against Vegas. And Brianna Stewart, missing on that potential game-winning shot, shooting so poorly last series. I think she's going to come up big in this one.
Woody Page?
Tony, if you loved Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young 30 years ago, you love this year the Aces once again to three-peat. The 4 Aces, they're back together again. Gray coming back. This is a team that's only lost 1 game to the Liberty since a month ago. I got the Aces.
What does that have to do with Crosby, Stills, Nash? You lost me there. Yeah, okay. And They lost that game, and it was to the Liberty. Points to Emily. Showdown 2, how Oakland A's fans said goodbye to their team yesterday.
This is generations. This is like father to son, to brother to child, and you're ripping that away. This is blue collar. This is who we are, and we want this team to stay.
I thought that was beautiful and heart-rendering and heartbreaking and heartful in some ways. The entire outpouring yesterday, Woody, you saw it all. I know you did. How'd you view it?
I've seen more than 100 baseball and football games in that stadium. It's the worst in the history of sports. However, that community deserves to have a team in the sports. And I'm teasing you because I got a 30 seconds coming up about it.
You're teasing me. Okay, good. You got more. All right, Mo.
Okay.
Emily?
That was greedy and yeah, this is about greed. Like, let's not make a mistake. And I just think the owner, I'm not going to name him, but his letter to fans saying he wished he could thank them all individually was so tone deaf. So I'm glad that the lasting image we have is 46,000 plus of them packing the stadium.
100% right. But I am a sucker for a tease like Woody Page just gave. I want more on this story. I think it's the biggest story in sports. Go ahead, Woody.
It's such a sad story and a damn shame that Oakland has lost a team in the NBA, in the National Hockey League, in baseball, in football. No other community in the entire country has ever had to endure that over the history of sports, and I think it's really just a shame. They deserve a team.
Thank you for that, Woody Page. 71.5-hour break. We'll see you Monday.